let's put this in its proper perspective. When I think about Caitlin Clark, the operative word that comes to my mind is gratitude. There's an incredible level of gratitude that should be accorded to this young lady with what she did for the sport. That's not to take anything away from anybody else, but I often argue, when I've argued with folks about this, you think NBA players shouldn't be thankful to Magic Johnson? You think NBA players shouldn't be thankful to Larry Bird? You think NBA players shouldn't be thankful to Michael Jordan? Because guess what? There were great players that were in the sport before they ever arrived, who did everything they could to make the NBA what it was. But it was when those brothers arrived that it took on an extra dimension and elevated to another level. I'm just looking at some of the numbers here. When we talk about league attendance, the Indiana Fever, all right, with Caitlin Clark, led the league in the...
Rising basketball player Caitlin Clark, who is renowned for her amazing precision, has drawn the attention of both industry insiders and fans with her signing a significant endorsement contract with Nike. Court vision and unwavering resolve, Clark has emerged as a shining example of skill and drive in women's sports. Her affiliation with Nike not only establishes her as a significant player in the sports industry, but it also calls into question the motivations behind such high-stakes agreements. Clark has had an incredible basketball career. She broke records and redefined standards for women's basketball while dominating the collegiate game with an unparalleled mastery of the sport. Beyond her abilities, Clark has won over fans with her daring play style and ferocious competition. It's little wonder that Nike, which is known for partnering with game-changing players like Serena Williams and Michael Jordan, has selected Clark as one of its newest faces.
It's not that you're wrong. It's that we don't care. Everything y'all said does not matter for this particular instance. We don't want to hear anything about Team USA. We know they won 7 straight goals. Put Andrea and Janae up on this screen. I want to look at them this whole segment when I'm talking to them. You just highlighted 7.
But Stephen A. Smith, of Voice, frequently not hesitant to provoke discussion about whether this agreement is solely a celebration of Clark's athletic prowess or a strategic effort by Nike to maintain its hegemony in women's sports marketing. How Caitlin Clark traveled.
I'll start. George Kittle.
I knew that was going to be the first person he was going to say.
I'm going to say Sam Laporta, just to take Travis's answers away from him before.
Okay. I'm going to go Tyler Linderbaum on the Ravens.
No, that's nice. I'm going to go Claire Kittle.
Tristan Wirfs.
That's right.
Solid answer.
The Eagles, actually, rookie Cooper DeJean from Iowa.
Oh, nice. Nijay, what about a little
for us?
TJ Hawkinson?
Ah, that's right. I always forget about him. He's on the Vikings, right?
Yes. He's finally back.
Nike's decision to collaborate with Clark is unquestionably calculated. Her name has come to represent excellence and unrealized marketing potential that could motivate a new generation of athletes and consumers. However, this agreement goes beyond Nike simply supporting a gifted athlete. It also puts tremendous pressure on Clark to not only perform well on the court, but also demonstrate her value as a brand ambassador. Smith contends that this might have as much to do with commercial optics as it does with actual acknowledgement of Clark's accomplishments. Companies like Nike are attempting to capitalize on the growing popularity of women's basketball by designating Clark as one of their main ambassadors. Nike affirms its dedication to promoting women in sports, but some question whether this dedication is sincere or merely intended to gain market share in a changing sector.
That's tough. I think just enjoy every single moment because it goes so fast and life changes so fast and you only get to do a lot of things once. So have fun, enjoy it. Remember why you do it because you love it, you're passionate about it, don't take it too serious. So I would say that. That's how I've tried to live. And obviously some moments are better than others. As you guys know, you get competitive and caught up. But
the agreement implies that Nike views Clark as a potential cultural icon who may boost sales and societal influence in addition to being an athlete. Both parties have a lot on the line. In a sports environment that is changing quickly, Nick bets on Clark's ability to produce outcomes while she manages the demands of more exposure and commercial expectations. Stephen A. Smith's skepticism also highlights Nike's history, despite the company being praised for its revolutionary alliances. If Clark fails to live up to the high standards set by this agreement, whether in terms of her on-court performance or her capacity to captivate audiences, then not all of the wagers have been profitable. The fallout may have an effect on her career and Nike's position in the market, but if this collaboration is successful, it may pave the way for women's sports sponsorships, increasing Clark's impact and positioning Nike as a pioneer in promoting gender parity in sports.
Well, I was bullied, but that's in the book. That's not, we go into that a little bit in the arena, but yeah, I was, and things that I had to go through now, people will be canceled for saying back then.
So when you see
crazy.
like a Caitlin Clark, what advice would you have maybe for her?
I just love that she tries to stay grounded, and she says she doesn't. What did she say? She doesn't have a social. She doesn't look at her social, and I get it. I don't either, and I think it's so important to continue to do what she's doing, and no matter what other people do, then if people are negative, it's because they can't do what you do, basically, and hopefully she'll continue to do what she's doing.
The world is watching, and both Clark and Nike are venturing into uncharted territory, embracing the risks and promises that accompany such audacious moves. Whether this partnership is a milestone of genuine celebration or a well-thought-out marketing strategy, Caitlin Clark and Nike's partnership highlights the changing dynamics in sports and its shifting cultural significance. Caitlin Clark's historic sponsorship agreement with Nike has generated intense debates throughout the sports industry. While some hail it as a turning point for women in sports, others, like vocal critic Stephen A. Smith, advise caution in celebrating too soon. Smith acknowledged Clark's brilliance and referred to it as a turning point in women's sports, but he questioned whether the agreement actually helps women's basketball or if it is just a ploy to boost Nike's marketing. Secure and progressive attentiveness.
Oh, this is much ado about nothing. I'm not worried about Caitlin Clark at all. I don't give a damn if she doesn't have a great season. First of all, the Indiana Fever ain't that good. Let's get that out the way. At least when you compare them to the upper echelon of the WNBA. Let's just get that out the way. We want to act like, they're all this. They're not.
This is all for nothing. I don't care about Caitlin Clark at all, and I don't care if she has a bad season or not. To start, the Indiana Fever aren't that good, so let's get that out of the way. At least when you compare them to the top tier of the WNBA, they're all this, they're not to the end. Smith's remarks touched a raw nerve. Others argue that Smith's skepticism runs the risk of overshadowing the historic nature of Clark's accomplishment, but one thing is for sure. Smith's observations have sparked a heated debate that ensures no one can ignore the implications of this deal. Some see his words as an essential critique exposing the complexities behind high-profile endorsements and these deals, arguing that they frequently reduce athletes to symbols in larger profit-driven campaigns. There are warnings regarding the gender disparity in sports endorsements.
Bring them and highlight them. This racist equity system, all it does is divide Americans. And the result of this election, in large part, was Americans saying, we're tired of that. We've had enough of that. And Caitlin Clark's going right back to that.
And DEI
That's
is
so right.
DEI is a nonsense thing, but can you think of any profession in which it's more nonsense than athletic competition, in which there are statistics and points scored? It's such a preposterous thing to claim somebody has privilege in a competition of athletics. And not to mention the fact that, you would never say something like that about the NBA, where there are hundreds of black superstars paid millions and millions of dollars. And by the way, that
For many years, men have dominated lucrative sponsorships in sports while female athletes have fought for equal pay and visibility. Clark's deal highlights this stark difference. Although Clark's agreement is a victory and a step forward for women's sports, it also emphasizes how far more work remains. Smith has brought attention to this problem by pointing out that, despite being groundbreaking, Clark's contract is nothing compared to the deals frequently offered to male athletes. What about the innumerable talented women who are still battling for recognition? He challenges brands to support their claims of equality by making significant investments in female athletes everywhere.
going up against the best defense in the WNBA.
I don't give a damn about the 10 turnovers. It did nothing to me. It's her first professional game. Obviously, she was a bit aggressive. I'm looking for the aggression. I'm looking for the sniper-like mentality. This girl launched threes from all over the place. Now, obviously, shoot 5 of 15 from the field, if I remember correctly, ain't the greatest percentage, and we get all of that. But you know what? She showed her range on this level. She was getting double-teamed.
Oh, yeah.
You know why she was getting double-teamed? Because they know she can launch it. And why is she a star? Because we know that she will pull up from the logo and it goes in. And so when you show that capability in your first game, to me, that's just a sign of things to come, and I love it.
You know,
Although the collaboration with Nike is unquestionably a positive step that indicates the growing popularity of women's sports, true equality won't materialize until deals like Clark's are accepted as standard practice rather than unusual. For the time being, this agreement establishes the framework, but the greater battle for parity still rages.
Well, I think a lot of folks were wondering, after you talked a lot about waiting until the season was over to make the decision, they were wondering why you decided that right now was the right time to announce.
I think just going into senior night, having that decision clear, not only for myself, but our fans, my teammates, I think that was super important. And honestly, just, I don't know, getting the weight of the world off my shoulders and being able to enjoy this last month with my teammates, I think is the biggest thing. And, you know, I think I kind of knew in my heart. So being able to kind of get that off my shoulders was the biggest thing. And yeah, I think it's just important going into this final stretch, whether it's, you know, our last home game and then obviously probably hosting 2 home games at home. I think just really enjoying that and soaking that in.
Although many people view champion Caitlin Clark's steal as a turning point for women's athletics, not everyone is celebrating. Critics contend that Nike put marketability ahead of merit, excluding equally deserving athletes in favor of Clark's broad appeal. This viewpoint has made the contract one of the most contentious sponsorship deals in recent memory. As the debate rages on, 2 camps have emerged: those celebrating this as a victory for women's athletics and those suspicious of Nike's intentions. Divan A. Smith didn't shy away from the controversy, praising Clark's talent while questioning Nike's motivations. He asked whether deals like these signal real progress or are cleverly crafted efforts to boost corporate profits under the guise of promoting women's sports. Nonetheless, both parties concur that the discussion is far from finished. Ken Clark produced.
My parents are here tonight over here. My dad was actually my first ever AAU basketball coach, so this is kind of a full circle moment, and I grew up playing a lot of AAU sports, whether it was softball, basketball, soccer. I did it all, and I actually grew up playing with the boys. That's all I knew until I was in about 4th grade, so I give that a lot of credit for the person I am today, but also the player kind of pushed me and made me maybe a little too feisty. If you've ever watched me, I'm a little feisty out there, but no, I love them, and they've been my rock. And my 2 brothers aren't here today, but they've picked on me. Like I said earlier, they picked on me more than anybody, and I kind of held my own, gave them a few concussions and staples in the head. So sorry, Mom, about that. But yeah, other than that, my teammates.
The stakes are higher than ever because of this historic deal, which puts tremendous pressure on Caitlin Clark to deliver every shot, every move, and every game. It's not just about how well she performs on the court. It's also about her ability to justify every cent Nike has invested in her. This two-edged reality was captured by Stephen A. Smith, who acknowledges her in amazing poise under pressure while cautioning that Clark's deal puts her in constant spotlight. Smith also highlights the toll that such scrutiny can have. While supporters will applaud her accomplishments louder, detractors will jump on her every mistake. It's a high-stakes bet where a victory may make her a legend, while a loss could be interpreted as a failure. Given her talent and tenacity, Clark seems prepared to take on the challenge, but the elevated expectations surrounding her raise the important question of whether she can. Everyone is comparing Caitlin to the GOATs. Is she the next great thing?
Ira plus 12 with rebounding in this game! Every scouting report talks about picking up KG crosses. Mike on there's a rebound for Clark. Her first of the second half. Molly with a great catch. Baseline drive, baseline trip. Starting now, coming off the bench for Coach McGuff, get some size.
Comparisons are inevitable when excellence shines, and Caitlin Clark is already being compared to legends like Michael Jordan. Fans and commentators of Serena Williams and LeBron James wonder if she is destined for similar glory or if it is too soon to know.
But what's not debatable is the fact that Caitlin Clark has handled her branding extremely well. Whereas with Angel Reese, sometimes you find yourself scratching your head and wondering what the hell she's doing. Like that photo right there. Listen, I see the way you walk in the game. Just listen. She's a beautiful young lady. And there's a lot of beautiful young ladies in the WNBA. But when you do that, you can't come down the line and complain about being
Stephen A. Smith shared his thoughts, describing these comparisons as both a compliment and a warning. While praising Kin's undeniable brilliance, he reminded viewers that greatness doesn't happen overnight. Rather, it takes years of dominance. He also cautioned against placing too much pressure on such a young star, stating that while Caitlin's charisma and extraordinary talent are hard to ignore, her ability to mesmerize fans is similar to that of the GOATs she's being compared to. However, will she maintain this momentum and produce iconic, era-defining moments? Only time will tell.
It's so special. This place, I just ran out when we first got here, and I had chills all over my body. And I'm just really grateful that they support women's basketball like this, support our team like this. I had a lot of friends and family in the crowd tonight supporting me, so it's really special. I'm thankful for our coaching staff that wanted to bring me back here and have this opportunity to play, and thank you to our administration that made this all happen. It's easier said than done, so I'm just really grateful and thankful for all these people.
A game changer for women's sports. The ripple effect more than just a personal milestone. Caitlin Clark's Nike agreement signifies a radical change in women's athletics. It is a daring acknowledgement of the marketability and cultural impact of female athletes, providing young aspirants with a potent emblem of what is achievable. Stephen A. Smith saw the contract as a spark with revolutionary potential, but warned that isolated incidents like this are insufficient for real advancement, arguing that brands like Nike must be committed over time and that this cannot be a one-off transaction. Consistency in real change is essential. From encouraging young girls to giving seasoned players the confidence to demand fair credit, the ripple effect is evident everywhere. The stakes for women's sports have never been higher.
Yeah, I'm happy for her. I called her and talked to her on the phone. I think she probably put a lot of thought into it and making this decision, so I couldn't be more happy for her. I probably took a couple years off of her career for having to coach me before, but no, I think the program's going to be in a really good place with Coach Jay taking over. Somebody that's been very selfless, has had a lot of head coaching opportunities, but has passed those up to help our program be a lot better. So I think having that common figure in the locker room for the girls that are still there and the recruits that are still there. But I know Coach Bluter will still be around a lot, so I'm happy for her. I know she's missed out on a lot of family things and getting to see her son.
In conclusion, as Stephen A. Smith correctly noted, Caitlin Clark's Nike contract is as much about advancement as it is about managing. It goes beyond the sports industry and serves as a beacon of hope and a test of fortitude under intense scrutiny. Will Caitlin meet the high standards and establish her legacy among legends? Or will the intense spotlight make her ascent more difficult? Her story is still developing. Do you believe Caitlin has what it takes to change women's sports and motivate upcoming generations?